The Lost Oasis of Sinai shows how ancient Egyptians constructed a green fortress in the middle of the desert. The astounding discovery of a tree-lined promenade that leads to a large fortification in the Sinai Peninsula is not just a fascinating archaeological anomaly. It is also a game-changer in terms of our knowledge of ancient Egyptian technology, military strategy, and environmental adaptability. Please allow me to go further into the meaning of this and the reasons why it is rewriting history. How did trees manage to grow in the Sinai Desert? This is the subject of the Green Miracle. A. The unsolved mysteries of irrigation, an extremely well-organized attempt to nurture trees in one of Egypt's driest locations, is shown by the more than 500 clay planting trenches that line the avenue that is 300 feet long. However, how? What about collecting groundwater? It's possible that the Egyptians may have tapped into subsurface aquifers or drilled wells, which would have been comparable to the qanat systems that the Persians would employ later on. A possible explanation for how water was able to reach the trees is the existence of tiny canals or shallow channels under the surface. Can rainwater be captured? Even though Sinai is a dry region, there are times when flash floods occur. There is a possibility that the architects of the stronghold constructed check dams or cisterns in order to store seasonal water that is imported. If the rivers that are presently dry in the area had flowed in the past, they may have been redirected. Donkey caravans or early pipes might have been used to convey water as an alternative mode of transportation. B. Were there any particular trees that grew there? Is it a date palm? Shade, food, and supplies for building were provided under the circumstances. Shipbuilding and medicine are two of the many applications for acacia. Sycamore figs are considered sacred in Egyptian mythology because they provide both sustenance and metaphorical meaning. It is possible that the species will be confirmed by further research. The fortress considered to be much more than a simple military outpost. A stronghold in the desert with urban planning facilities for the purpose of limiting access. Defensive trenches that were more than 6 feet deep served the same purpose as dry moats. Paved roads. The presence of limestone slabs indicates that there is a lot of traffic. Evidence that this was not only a transitory camp, but rather a permanent community, is shown by the presence of barracks and family quarters. B. The lime kilns. It's an important industrial center. Large-scale mortar manufacture is indicated by the presence of 4 enormous kilns, presumably for the following reasons. Fortifications are being repaired. Construction endeavors throughout the neighborhood. Building that took place during the Roman period. The secret building lies beneath the surface. Could this be the case? An ancient fort from the Pharaonic period, which predates the Ptolemaic and Roman periods, given the hallowed heritage of Sinai? Why is there a religious complex there? What about a cemetery for high-ranking government officials? Only more excavation will reveal the truth. Rewriting the history of ancient Egypt is the third implication. Originally published as the desert wasn't just a barrier, it was a controllable space. The deserts were considered to be inaccessible wastelands for many years. Nonetheless, this fortification demonstrates that the Egyptians were able to control the Sinai for the following reasons. Strategic hydraulic engineering, the military and trade control, which includes the protection of important routes between Egypt and the Levant. What is the missing link in the theories about the construction of pyramids? If Egyptians were able to carry water and cultivate trees in a desert environment, then they could have also been able to. Have you constructed canals in order to transport the stones of the pyramids, as academics such as Iman Gonaim have suggested? Is it possible that artificial rivers were used to float large blocks close to Giza? The hypothesis that missing ancient rivers or canals created by humans had a part in mega-construction projects is given more credence as a result of this newly discovered evidence. Possible clues to climate change? Was the Sinai Desert once greener? There are experts who believe that Sinai had a somewhat higher rainfall level, between 2,000 and 4,000 years ago. The amount of irrigation in this area, on the other hand, implies that human activity is involved rather than merely natural climate. The idea that all desert greening was caused by natural changes is called into question by this evidence, which demonstrates that occasionally it was down to human inventiveness. 4. Contemporary implications derived from ancient desert masters living in a desert that is sustainable. Not only did the Egyptians survive the desert, but they also altered it throughout their history. There are several things that contemporary dry locations, such as Dubai, Arizona, or the Sahara, may learn from. Traditional methods of water saving include cisterns and groundwater tapping. There is a strategic planting of trees for different microclimates. Technology that has been lost, the process of rediscovery is ongoing. Roman concrete has qualities that allow it to cure itself. Traditional Persian wind catchers. The Egyptian desert irrigation system is now included on the list. What is the extent of the old knowledge that we have lost? The desert's long-concealed mysteries are still being unearthed, as the conclusion goes. In addition to being an interesting archaeological discovery, the Tel Habu stronghold offers evidence that ancient civilizations were progressed to a far greater degree than we often believe them to have been. They brought deserts into existence. Despite the terrible conditions, they were able to establish successful settlements. In certain cases, they may have even used water to shift the stones of the pyramid. In conclusion, if they were able to make the Sinai blossom 2,000 years ago, what are some of the things that we could do now with their inventiveness and the technology that we have today? Be sure to stay tuned, since the further excavation may uncover even more amazing discoveries. So what are your thoughts? What if the pyramids were caused by rivers that have vanished? Is it possible to bring back old irrigation methods for use in current deserts? Can you think of any more impossible exploits that the Egyptians probably accomplished?